Should have known it would just be a matter of time before it happened. Royal aides want Harry and Meghan to give up their title. Insiders condemn the prince's disgraceful podcast attack on family that has left the palace feeling bewildered and betrayed. Well, let's try to envision this. So, the courtiers are scurrying about the palace in a frenzy, trying to figure out, what are we going to do about Meghan and Harry? They're attacking our employers. Well, first of all, is Harry speaking of his life experience as a member of the royal family, and he was speaking his truth. And the people that are making a big stink about this, they're in two camps. There are those who actually listened to the podcast and didn't like what he had to say, and then there are those who didn't listen to it and just took the highlights and ran with it. I myself actually made a video before I actually completed the entire podcast. And so once I completed it, I didn't feel much different about it from the beginning. It was pretty much the same feeling that Harry spoke his truth. And then I made another video because I still couldn't stop thinking about it. It didn't change my mind, and that's the whole point. The people that are so outraged all of a sudden at Harry's behavior, they had it in for him anyway. And I'm speaking of the palace insiders. Of course, this is the Daily Mail, so it is very slanted. The Daily Mail has a campaign against the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. We all know that. And, of course, Meghan won another round of the lawsuit against the Mail on Sunday for copyright infringement. So there's that history. And then, of course, there's a cozy relationship between the British tabloid press and the royal family. So, you have that to identify as a good reason why this is awkward all the way around. Well, the article goes on to say palace aides have called on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex to give up their title. Okay, so that lets you know right there, this is not coming from the family, and probably not even from the high-ranking courtiers, if any courtiers. This is merely the opinion of this rag of a newspaper. Now, this article is by Carolyn Graham for the Daily Mail on Sunday. Okay, senior courtiers spoke of a growing sense of bewilderment and betrayal. They are particularly incensed by Harry's criticism of Prince Charles's parenting. Palace aides have called on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex to give up their titles following Prince Harry's latest disgraceful assault on the royal family. So you're calling on them to give up their titles, but there's no word from the family, from Charles or the Queen herself. I don't think it's likely to happen. And if it does, it's not going to change the power and the impact of the Sussexes. If you really want to make them stronger, take away their titles. That's exactly what happened to Princess Diana. They took away her titles. This is why I don't think it's going to happen, because when they took away Princess Diana's titles, what you need to understand about what caused the death of Princess Diana, it wasn't only that she lost her HRH titles, but it was also the fact that she gave up royal protection. Why did she give up royal protection? Well, from what I'm to understand, allegedly her protection had to report to the Prince of Wales. Who is the Prince of Wales? I don't know. Prince Charles. And by reporting to Prince Charles every activity that she planned, because of course you have to let the royal protection know, okay, I'm going to the supermarket today. I'm going to meet with the ambassador of such and such tomorrow. You have to let them know your movements. And of course, if she's dating someone, that is also reported to Prince Charles. Okay, so Meghan and Harry's not in that situation. They're not relying upon royal protection, and they are not using their HRH titles. We're in the United States of America. Yes, it does come with a bit of cachet. You do have some form of celebrity, but by taking away those titles, that is always going to be a prince of the blood, Prince Harry. And as his wife, when the Queen dies, she will become Princess Meghan. She may not be an HRH at that point, depending on how this goes. See, Daily Mail is trying to create a drumbeat. They're trying to create public outrage. They're stirring the pot. And by creating that public outrage, they're hoping that indecisive and dutiful Charlie is going to capitulate and take their titles away. Now, it's actually the Queen's position to do that. She's the one who can confer or strip away the titles. Strip away. God, what a punishment, isn't it? We're going to strip them of their titles. It's going to create a huge backlash. Now, I cannot dictate what comes out of Harry's mouth. That is totally up to him. And if I don't have any say, then I think most people in the public have no say. And I think you can add to that chorus of non-sayers in no position to dictate his family. It's his lived experience. Just as he did not ask to be on the world stage, they cannot decide to contain him by just assuming that, oh, okay, well, he's got the worst out. I guess he won't say anything else. Maybe they're not speaking to him. We don't know if they're speaking or not. We don't know what the relationship is between Harry and his father. We don't know anything. But the Daily Mail, they're going to do the thinking and the knowing and the talking for everyone. Now, this, I think, is just a ploy. It's a scheme to create enough public outrage so that they would have the courage within the walls of the palace or Windsor Castle, because I think that's where the Queen is staying these days. They said she may never go back to the palace because of the renovation and such. But they want them to take the titles away as a punishment. They want something to write about. They want the clickbait. They want the ad revenue. They're not losing sleep. They're not losing sleep at the Daily Mail because of those titles. Carolyn Graham is not up at night wringing her hands and pacing the floors because the Duke and Duchess of Sussex still have their HRH titles, His and Her Royal Highness. That's not keeping them up, but it does elevate the ad revenue. It is a way to punish a couple who has decided that if we can use the courts to strike back, then we shall. Harry said on his way out in his farewell speech, this may not be the best decision, it may not be the smartest thing, however he said it, but right now it's the only thing that we have. Because whether they sue them or they don't sue them, whether they have this public image battle with the tabloid press, it won't matter. They're going to come after them anyway. If they would have stayed in Frogmore, they were targeted, and coming over here, they're targeted. The only thing that really frustrates them is they can't get a good handle on them over here. They are using the right-wing press in the U.S. to try to turn public opinion against them. But it's not working. They have a good solid core of maybe 35% of the people out there who has joined in this negative campaign. And I've noticed that whenever I go on the Australian Sky News, they fascinate me. when they do their editorials of the stories that they run, they speak of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex as though they're actually staying over in Australia. As a matter of fact, they get very heavily involved in the politics in the U.S. All of that is right-wing. And the right wing is dragging the Sussexes right along with them in order to create this brotherhood with the right wing in the UK. It's all combined. And so that's where you get this hostility toward the Sussexes in the United States. But that number is going to hover exactly where it is, because those are the same people who said that this past presidential election was stolen. Those are the people. No one else. Just the conspiracy theorists. Those are the ones who will stay in that minority. So I'm not worried about them. There's nothing you can really do with them. You can't convince them of anything. They won't take the vaccine. They think that the pandemic is a hoax. So don't worry about them. The majority of Americans are solidly behind the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The things that person on Good Morning Britain or whatever show it was, I don't even want to say his name, but that person that spent 3 years attacking the Duchess of Sussex, 3 years attacking her, 5 days a week on morning television. As an African American, I could not imagine turning on Good Morning America or CBS This Morning or the Today Show. That just would not fly. I can't understand how that went on so long. We don't have that here. Yeah, our society is flooded with guns, but we don't have that type of television. That is where the majority of people in a certain age group, that is where their news comes from. And for those who don't actually watch those morning shows over there, they are supported and uplifted by social media and all other forms of journalism. So I'm glad they're away from that. And to Prince Harry, keep speaking your truth. It's your lived experience, and no one asks for your consent before they turned your life upside down, before they took you from the womb and put you out on the center stage of the world and made you perform. That's exactly what it is. It was a performance on behalf of the nation. I don't know if that institution can sustain itself. Right now, they're dragging out the Cambridge kids to do the exact same thing. Is that fair to the children? And mark my word, more and more people in the UK, I don't care if it's the next 10 years or the 20 years, they're going to start to ask this question: what are we doing? What are we doing with our children? And if Harry feels as though he wants to speak his truth about his lived life experience, whether that involves his father or the Queen, who is so powerful in her position at 95 years old, she's in charge of the armed forces, she's in charge of the church, she's in charge of the state. She has all these duties resting on her shoulders at 95 years old. But for her grandson to question the type of institutional parenting that has made his life and Margaret's life, and of course even the Queen's father's life, miserable. If he questions that, if he has a conversation, then somehow he's the bad guy. I just don't see it that way. If they can put these kids out on the stage to perform, if they can take them out to perform royal duties, if they can make slick commercials and YouTube videos to demonstrate what a warm, fuzzy family they are, That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, share, donate. I should be working on my Meghan and Harry anniversary video, but instead this just popped out of me, and here we are. So thanks for listening, and I'm out.